The First Strike. High Admiral Crixus stood at the bridge of the Galactic Empire's flagship Eternal Dawn, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he studied the holographic display of the Sol system. After centuries of conquest across the galaxy, the Empire had finally turned its attention to this unremarkable corner of space, home to a species that had barely managed to colonize their own moon. Such primitive beings, he mused, his deep voice resonating through the command center. Their most advanced ships still use chemical propulsion. Their weapons are crude projectiles and basic energy beams. First Commander Naira, his most trusted advisor, approached with a data pad in her four-fingered hand. The preliminary scans are complete, High Admiral. Their military capabilities are interesting. Crixus turned, his silver eyes narrowing. Interesting. They're centuries behind us, Commander. Yes, but they've developed in unusual ways. Their orbital defense network is surprisingly sophisticated, and their submarine fleet. Submarines? Crixus laughed, a harsh sound that made junior officers flinch. They still fight underwater. On their own planet. How quaint. Naira persisted. Their history shows remarkable adaptability in warfare. They've never achieved unity through peaceful means. Every advancement in their civilization came through conflict and competition. Then they should understand what comes next, Crixus said, turning back to the holographic display. Send the message. Across Earth's major cities, communication systems suddenly crackled to life. Broadcasts were interrupted, phones displayed emergency alerts, and every screen showed the same message. A transmission from the Galactic Empire. In the United Earth Defense Force headquarters beneath Mount Cheyenne, Admiral Reza Patel watched the alien commander's message with growing concern. The translation matrix worked perfectly, converting the alien language into clear English. People of Earth, the scaled being announced, its silver eyes gleaming. I am High Admiral Crixus of the Galactic Empire. Your planet now stands at the edge of our territory. Submit to imperial rule, and you will be granted the privilege of serving the greatest civilization in the galaxy. Resist, and you will be crushed. You have 6 Earth hours to respond. Admiral Patel turned to her command staff. Well, that's direct enough. Status report. Colonel James Wu, head of strategic operations, stepped forward. The Sentinel defense grid is fully operational, Admiral. All orbital platforms are armed and tracking the alien fleet. Project Thunderbird is ready for deployment. And the Hyperion Protocol. Director Isabella Romano, Chief of Research and Development, nodded. The prototype is stable. We can activate it at any time, but we've never tested it against alien technology. Admiral Patel smiled grimly. They think we're primitive because we haven't revealed our true capabilities. That's exactly what we wanted. For 30 years, we've prepared for this moment. Every war game, every simulation, every breakthrough in quantum physics and dark matter manipulation. It was all leading to this. She turned to her communications officer. Send our response. In the depths of space, High Admiral Crixus received Earth's transmission. A single line of text appeared on his screen. We respectfully decline your offer. How amusing, Crixus sneered. Launch the first wave. Target their primitive orbital installations and... Warning alarms suddenly blared throughout the fleet. First Commander Naira's eyes widened as she studied the sensor readings. High Admiral. Multiple quantum signatures detected. They're not coming from their orbital platforms. They're coming from beneath their oceans. Before Crixus could respond, hundreds of objects burst from Earth's oceans, accelerating at impossible speeds. They weren't missiles or fighters. They were autonomous quantum torpedoes, each carrying a payload of dark matter warheads. Impossible, Crixus roared. Their technology level. This can't be. The first wave of quantum torpedoes struck the Zylaxian fleet. Ships vanished in spheres of imploding spacetime, their matter converted to energy in microseconds. The carefully arranged formation of the Imperial Armada dissolved into chaos. Full retreat, Crixus ordered, His composure shattered. All ships, emergency temporal jump. As the surviving Zylaxian ships fled, Admiral Patel watched the sensor feeds with satisfaction. "Send a message to all Earth Defense Commands," she ordered. "Operation Deception is complete. Phase 2 begins now." The first battle was over, but the war had just begun. Humanity had revealed a fraction of its true strength, and the Zylaxian Empire had learned its first lesson about underestimating Earth. In the coming days, both sides would discover that this conflict would redefine the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Hidden strengths. Deep within the crystalline halls of the Imperial Palace on Zylax Prime, High Admiral Crixus faced the Imperial Council. The massive chamber, with its towering spires of living crystal, usually inspired awe. Today, it felt like a cage. "Explain yourself, Admiral," Emperor Vexthor demanded, his bioluminescent markings pulsing with barely contained rage. "How did a supposedly primitive species devastate our first fleet?" Crixus fought to keep his voice steady. "The humans deceived us, Your Majesty. They deliberately maintained the appearance of technological inferiority while developing weapons we've never encountered." The Emperor's chief scientist, Quantum Master Ixel, stepped forward. Her translucent skin rippled with patterns of thought. "The weapon signatures we analyze are troubling. They've somehow weaponized quantum entanglement itself. Their primitive submarines were actually advanced launch platforms for temporal weapons." And now, First Commander Nera added, "Our long-range sensors detect massive energy signatures throughout their solar system. They're activating defense systems that were previously dormant." In the depths of Mars Valles Marineris, Director Romano walked through the newly activated Prometheus facility with General Viktor Petrov, commander of the Mars Defense Force. The massive underground complex hummed with power as quantum reactors came online. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Romano gestured to the rows of massive machines extending into the distance, while everyone watched our primitive space program. "We built this. The Zylaxians never thought to look beneath the surface of Mars." Petrov nodded, his cybernetic eye scanning the facility's defenses. "How long until the graviton array is fully operational?" 12 hours. Once it's online, we can create artificial gravity wells anywhere within 50 light-years. Their faster-than-light drives won't work if they can't break free of our gravitational fields. "And Project Eclipse?" Romano's expression turned serious. "That's why I asked you here. We're ready for the final phase, but there's a risk. If we activate the quantum entanglement network connecting all our solar system's defenses, there's no going back. The power requirements will be visible to every advanced civilization in the galaxy." "Do we have a choice?" Petrov asked. "The Zylaxians will return with a larger fleet." "No, we don't. But humanity's greatest secret is about to be revealed." Back on Earth, Admiral Patel stood in the Hyperion Control Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the status of humanity's defense network. The room was filled with operators interfacing directly with quantum computers through neural links. "Status report on the Mercury shield," she asked. Lieutenant Kai Nakamura, his neural interface glowing at his temples, responded without looking away from his displays. "The solar energy collectors are at full capacity. The quantum field generator is stable. When the Zylaxians return, they'll find our entire inner solar system protected by a quantum barrier." "They're already coming," Colonel Wu announced, entering the control center. "Our deep space arrays detect multiple temporal distortions. They're gathering a fleet 3 times larger than the first." Admiral Patel smiled. "Good. Time to show them what else we've been hiding. Activate Protocol Omega." Across the solar system, hidden installations began to power up. Beneath the ice of Europa, antimatter reactors awakened. In the clouds of Venus, plasma containment fields shimmed into existence. On Earth's moon, the massive particle accelerator ring buried beneath the surface began its cycle. In the Imperial Palace, alarms blared as new sensor data arrived. Quantum Master Ixel's skin turned pale with shock. Impossible. They're generating more power than our entire empire. The humans, they're not just defending their system. They're turning it into a weapon. Emperor Vexthor rose from his crystal throne, his markings now pulsing with a different emotion. Fear. How? How did we not see this? Because we saw what we expected to see, Crixus replied bitterly. We watched their primitive rockets and satellites. We monitored their public communications. But beneath the surface, beneath the oceans and the planets and the moons, they were building something unprecedented. The attack on our fleet wasn't a defensive action, Naira realized. It was a test. They wanted to analyze how our technology responded to their weapons. And now, the Emperor demanded. Before anyone could respond, a new signal reached the palace. Every communication device in the Empire received the same message, broadcast on quantum frequencies that were supposed to be impossible for humans to access. Admiral Patel's hologram appeared before the Imperial Council. People of the Zylaxian Empire, she announced, her voice calm but carrying unmistakable authority. You thought Earth was an easy target. You thought we were primitive. Let us show you how wrong you were. You have 6 of our hours to withdraw all forces from the Sol sector and recognize our independence. If you refuse, the hologram shifted to show a massive structure emerging from beneath the surface of Mars. The graviton array rose like a mechanical leviathan, its quantum field already distorting space-time around the red planet. We will demonstrate why every civilization should fear humanity's creativity. The war had entered a new phase. The Zylaxian Empire had discovered that their greatest mistake wasn't underestimating humanity's technology. It was underestimating humanity's capacity for strategic deception. The next move would determine the fate of both civilizations. The counter-offensive. The Zylaxian Empire made its choice. Rather than withdraw, they launched their massive fleet toward the Sol system. 3,000 warships emerged from temporal space, their weapons primed for what they believed would be a devastating show of force. High Admiral Crixus stood aboard his new flagship, the Imperial Vengeance, watching the tactical display. Deploy in attack formation Delta. Target there. Admiral. Naira's voice carried an edge of panic. The humans, they're not in a defensive posture. They're attacking. From seemingly empty space, hundreds of human vessels appeared. They weren't the crude rockets the Empire had observed, but sleek ships powered by dark matter reactors. Leading them was the UES Prometheus, humanity's first true warship. Admiral Patel's voice echoed through the command network. Execute Operation Hydra. All ships engage according to tactical plan. The human fleet split into smaller groups, each targeting key elements of the Imperial formation. But their real weapon wasn't their ships, it was their strategy. The graviton array on Mars activated, creating localized gravity wells that trapped portions of the Imperial fleet. They're isolating our battle groups, Crixus realized, breaking our formation into manageable segments. The space around the Sol system became a graveyard of Imperial ships. Human vessels phased in and out of normal space, striking from impossible angles. Their quantum torpedoes ignored traditional shields, and their graviton weapons turned the Empire's superior numbers against them, crushing ships together in artificial gravity wells. But the true shock came from Earth itself. The oceans began to glow with an eerie blue light as massive structures rose from the depths. They weren't weapons, they were portals. By the Emperor's crown, Naira whispered. They've mastered quantum tunneling. They're opening stable wormholes. Through these portals poured more ships, emerging behind Imperial lines. The carefully planned invasion had become a chaotic battle for survival. Emperor Vexthor watched the battle feeds with growing horror. Activate the planet breaker, he commanded. If we cannot have their system, we will destroy it. The Empire's ultimate weapon, hidden in temporal space, began to power up. The planet breaker was a massive station capable of destabilizing a star, causing it to go supernova. But humanity had prepared for this too. As the planet breaker emerged, The Mercury shield activated. A quantum barrier enveloped the inner solar system, powered by the vast solar collectors hidden on Mercury's surface. You really thought we wouldn't plan for this? Admiral Patel's voice carried across all frequencies. Activate Project Eclipse. The quantum entanglement network connecting all of humanity's defenses synchronized. Every human ship, station, and planetary installation linked into a single coordinated system. The combined power output exceeded anything the Empire had ever witnessed. The planet breaker fired its primary weapon, and the beam was caught by the quantum barrier, redirected through the network of wormhole portals, and emerged behind the Imperial fleet. No, Crixus watched in disbelief as the Empire's ultimate weapon was turned against its own ships. In the aftermath of the battle, the remains of the Imperial fleet retreated to Xylax Prime. But humanity didn't pursue. Instead, Admiral Patel opened a direct channel to Emperor Vexthor. "Your Majesty," she began, "we could continue this war. We could use our wormhole network to strike at your core worlds. But that's not what humanity wants." The Emperor, his pride wounded but his wisdom prevailing, listened. "We propose a new relationship," Patel continued, "not as conquerors and subjects, but as equals. Your empire has technologies we lack. We have innovations you haven't imagined. Together, we could achieve something greater than endless conflict." Director Romano and Quantum Master Ixel already worked together, sharing discoveries that could benefit both civilizations. The human capacity for unconventional thinking, combined with Xylaxian precision and experience, could revolutionize space travel, energy production, and exploration. "Why?" Emperor Vexthor asked. "Why offer peace when you could claim victory?" Admiral Patel smiled. "Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our deception. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies. We survived our own wars by learning this lesson. True victory isn't about destruction, it's about creation." The war ended not with the annihilation of an empire, but with the birth of something new. The Treaty of Sol established a partnership between humanity and the Xylaxian Empire that would reshape the galaxy. High Admiral Crixus, standing beside Admiral Patel at the signing ceremony, finally understood. "We thought we were superior because of our technology, but your true power was in hiding your strength until the perfect moment, then offering peace from a position of power." "No," Patel corrected. "Our true power was knowing when to stop. Victory without wisdom is just another form of defeat." And so the galaxy learned a crucial lesson. Never underestimate humanity, not for their weapons, not for their strategies, but for their capacity to turn the greatest challenges into opportunities for growth. The stars themselves watched as a new era began, born from the ashes of a war that ended not in destruction, but in understanding.